For over 20 years, the Fire Store has equipped first responders with the best in firefighting gear. Discover seasonal savings on the gear you trust and visit thefirestore.com to shop everything but the truck.
Hello, everybody. Billy Hucks, your host of Point of Origin Podcast here, joined alongside my cohort, Bobby Drake. And we have got a special guest for you today. None other than the training officer himself, Chief Dave McGlynn. Dave, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Man, what an introduction.
Right.
Wow. No pressure from here.
No, we're good. We're just
5 minutes leading up.
I arrived. Keep doing it. Thanks for the invite.
And we said Bobby's words are still coming out with the video. It's all for good.
I know. We
Is
are
it really?
moving along, man.
It is. No, we're good. We're golden.
Awesome.
So got again special guest on with us today, and we kind of hope to maybe give you a little bit of teaser. For some reason, I guess a couple of people like us. We have been invited to to the stage in Lucas Oil coming up with FDIC, and I guess the expectation from the three of us, given our ages and where we've all been in the fire service, I was nowhere where I would consider myself a training officer, but I did spend a fair amount of time in an acting capacity, with training. Again, nothing in depth like the two of you guys, but that being said, I think it's going to be interesting to see how how the three of us are received. I think our message, we've had a lot of offline conversations, conversations over dinner, conversations sitting around the water cooler. We're all on the same wavelength, when it comes to talking about fire service, talking about personalities, talking about how we're kind of caught in this generational gap that I probably talk about way too much. But, we all came in the fire service at the same time. We came up under the old salty captain, but yet we do understand the younger generation, coming along today. And with that being said, enough blabbering from me. Dave, give us a little bit of your background.
Thanks. Well, one, thanks for having me. We've talked. We've spitballed things off each other, so I do appreciate this opportunity. I'm pretty excited about what we're going to do at Lucas Oil at FDIC. I think that's going to be awesome. All the nerves aside, I think it matters, and I think that just this cadre, I'm honored to be part of that core three of us that are going to be on that stage that day. I think it matters. I think it's going to be good. But quick synopsis or background on me, if you don't know me, which is fine. Name's Dave McGlynn. I grew up in New Jersey. So I say things different. Sometimes my vowels are pronounced significantly different. So no matter where I go, just own it. Right. I have to, it's just a disclaimer I have to put up front, I work in Pennsylvania. I work for the federal government. I worked as the training chief at West Point. So go Army, beat Navy, because that's coming up. But yeah, I married to a Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. So, I'm certainly going into heaven. And we got two beautiful kids. And I made chief of department a few years ago, and that has come with challenges that you just didn't realize were there until you get in that role. But yeah, it's writing for fire engineering, teaching FDIC, and just excited to break bread and talk shop with people whenever I get an opportunity. I think when this is all done, this type of stuff is the thing I'm going to miss the most. It's contrary to popular opinion, as much as people think I'm an extrovert, I'm not. But when I get an opportunity to talk to people about this thing of ours, like when I'm not able to do that anymore, I know that I'm going to go through like a withdrawal,
No, it's interesting you say that, because I get accused all the time of being, being this huge extrovert. In reality, I'm not. But where I do get excited and I completely jump out of a shell is being able to talk about the passionate topics, right? Interesting career. career path from your standpoint, interesting career path from myself, and as well as Bobby. Again, I think you mentioned something a second ago that you took the chief job, not realizing challenges, right? Like you knew there were going to be challenges. I think it's much like I can probably relate to having kids. All of your friends tell you growing up, like, oh, just wait till you have kids. Time goes faster, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge. Can it really be a challenge? I had a unique experience of being able to have a couple of acting stints, within the position before I took it. I think my brain was wired differently at that point. It's kind of like, okay, I'm in an acting capacity. What's the worst that can happen? I keep my normal job, my day to day job. You take that first day and you walk in the office and you look around, and at least for me, I treated it differently from acting stints. It's Bobby and I've had that conversation recently as well, and I know from Bobby's standpoint, it's again, Bobby's still just like you, very very active in operations on a day to day basis, and we all end up in those positions sometimes, and we have to make the best of them. So you're still employed, and I think that means something at this point. So you're probably doing something the right way. But well, with that being said, I think a topic that I would really like to explore today, and this is kind of going to go along with our conversation at FDIC coming up this year, is probably the overused term at this point, but I still feel like it's underused. But talking about the mental health component, um, mental health is mental health for everyone, but I think it is looked at differently, especially for somebody that's in a chief officer role. Who do we go to? Who do we talk to? Um,
Right.
you don't want to show the weakness there within your people. You want to be that strong pillar, within your department, and understandably so. But who does Dave McGlynn talk to? Who does Dave go to and have conversations with when Dave needs to have a conversation? Dave needs to blow off steam.
I don't, I don't know. So like you, like writing, it's not the right answer, but it's just that's the answer. I don't want to lie. We've talked before about that, so that question is it's a tough question to answer because I we always talk about, and we should, but we always talk about, hey, recognize the signs, be there for your people, create an environment where they're comfortable to come to you, and all those are the right thing to say. But what happens when you're the guy? Who are you supposed to talk to? And without getting into detail, I mean, I don't mind talking to you guys offline about it, but a lot has been a challenge more this year just because it all was going on at the same time. So there's a lot that I have tried to compartmentalize or attack all at the same time this year. So, you couple all that with it starts to convolute between your personal life and what's a priority and then your professional life and what's a priority. And then are you available to your spouse and if you're a parent, your children, and then are you available to your team and your subordinates, and then are you available meeting the deadlines of the guidance and direction and expectation of your superiors. And I'm not an octopus, so I can't sit there and juggle 8 things all at once, and it starts to bog you down and all that. So I will say, I don't know if it works, and I'm not saying this because it's your show, but I've texted you on the random. I was in the tub the one time. Remember, I texted you, just I having some level of people that you just know, they get it and they're not judgmental. You don't have to talk to them every day. It's as simple as just a quick reach out text. And then the writing, your wife I give her credit because this is something that I was never comfortable to openly express talking about. And she kind of got me to just start writing about this shit. I'm sorry, I'm cursing, just, it's just how I talk. But, but, but writing about it has allowed me to kind of offload or purge it, like in the Scott mask, like just kind of just clear the fog on the inside of my mask type of thing. um, and and I don't know who I can always talk to, but I'll tell you that if you're a listener, there are like-minded people out there that you can just randomly reach out to when you're having one of those bad days, or you just want to connect or share with, right? And then um, writing isn't for everybody, but it certainly has allowed me to get it out of my system. You know what I mean? So like, just do that. Um, we can't always talk to our spouse, and that's unfortunate, but it's just a reality. And we can't always talk to our people, and then we're men, so we live in this fear of uh, somebody trying to use it against us, right? Um, and then there's that fear of the vulnerability of even sharing it with your superior, right? So I will say that this past year has been challenging. I've been fortunate that I've had just randomly just had people that like I've been able to just kind of just touch base with, and then had that avenue to try just express myself. I don't mean to get long winded with that. Just I don't have the answer because I really didn't know who to talk to. So the way I've dealt with it is just like I said, like just a random text to you or something, or the writing some stuff down. Um, that's just kind of been what's helped me. And then the last part I'll say is um, sort of like Robin Williams, where like he couldn't make himself happy, but in turn he wanted to make the world happy, so he used comedy, right? So like I have done buddy checks more this year than I ever have before. Just like, hey brother, just checking on you, hope all's well. Um, because I'm not in a good space. So I'm like, well, I don't like that I'm not in a good space, so let me at least make sure somebody else isn't feeling the way I'm feeling. So do that, because that kind of helped. Like it kind of made me feel a little better in dealing with what I'm dealing with, by reaching out to some other people just to check and see that they're okay.
We said before we started there'd be something would drive it, something would strike that natural piece. And I got two things, and one thing is that I was kind of thinking as you were talking about that, Dave. Therapeutic things don't always have to be therapy. Like like I think so many times we think of therapy, and it to be therapeutic, it doesn't have to be sitting on somebody's couch with a bunch of degrees hanging on their wall to tell us how we're feeling. So you talk about writing, you talk about comedy, whether it's working out, whether it's, setting financial goals. I mean, whatever it is that you're doing, that could be therapy in itself. And I think that's, for me, that's the big takeaway, is that there are a lot of people that are not willing to go sit and talk to a professional. And look, I appreciate that. Look, no shame. I do. I have, like, I think it's good, but I know I may be 50%, not everybody's going to do it, but what is therapeutic to you doesn't always have to be therapy. And so I think that's what I was really taking away from what I was hearing you say, is find what makes you happy, like find what makes you tick. And look, writing has done the same thing for me. Teaching has done the same thing for me. Like that is my therapy session. I feel so much better leading into that, leading out of that. Even though I'm stressed to no end half the time when I get up in front of the group, just making sure my message is going to be heard. Like, I don't care how many times you do it. Like but that's my therapy, right? And the writing is my therapy. And I think the other thing to tie it together too, when, you were talking about, with Chiefs specifically, is relationships. And I think that that's something that I think is an old school leadership mentality, that we shouldn't have relationships with people that we work with. And I think that as the three of us enter retirement age and we move through another decade of the fire service, I think we're going to see a lot of the psychology in leadership and management change, because people have changed. And I think, and I'm not smart enough to write the book on it, and if I do, I'll bring you guys in and we'll have a cup of coffee over the royalties. But I think that we're going to see leadership and management as we know it, and the theories, if you will, that we have learned and heard and beat into our heads over our careers we're going to see them be published to look very different. People have changed. The world has changed. And leadership and leaders have to change with it. And I think relationships and building those bonds with your people, regardless of those separations of rank, I think is going to be super, super important as we move forward. So, two things that I really took out of what you said that resonated with me, things that I have felt recently, is that. And so I think we're onto something. I think some people are looking at us like we're crazy, but I think we're on the right track.
I would agree. And, the major thing that I too took several things out of what you said, Dave, the most important and what I appreciate the most about you as a person, but what I appreciate the most about your answer is the fact that A, it's not universal, and B, it wasn't perfect. Like we can sit in a classroom all day long and, throw these, big words out that I can't even spell. Oh, this is what you have to do. No, that's not the case, because one thing that you hit on, I get the same way. When I get to a point to where I am just at my wit's end, again, you talk about family life, you talk about all this balance that we try to achieve. On paper, it looks good. In the moment, at least for me, I'll speak for myself. It doesn't have the hits continue to come. And for me, when I get to that point, I immediately start reaching out to people. And it's not because I need to talk to someone. My way of therapy, if you will, is checking on other people. Hey, are you good? Because I'm sorry, I just got caught up in the day to day for 3 weeks, and I haven't checked on you, haven't said hey, haven't asked how the family is, whatever the case may be. That's a huge way that I too have dealt with it. And again, I don't think the answer is ever going to be universal for anyone. As you alluded to, Bobby. But whatever you find works for you. I think the most important part is make it okay to explore what makes you tick, what makes you happy. A chief doesn't have to be able to go to a chief. I don't care if you're in the same department or if you're, states away. It could be your cousin. It could be a fireman that you met in California, whatever the case may be. Whoever you feel comfortable with, whoever you entrust with. Hey, I just need to have a conversation. Maybe I just need to, bend your ear for a while and you not say anything and hang up the phone. Fine, whatever. But I do think that is a huge component. And again, back to your point, Bobby, I truly do believe the same thing. I pride myself in being imperfect. The crazy of just trying to throw some backdrop stuff up with moving, and in my head I envision something differently, and now I look at it on camera and it's different than what I saw, whatever. I, I'm okay being imperfect, and I think as soon as you as a human being embraces that and realizes that sure, we learn a lot of good things from a lot of good leaders out there. The most well-spoken one, I'll never be that person. I've accepted that, completely okay with that. I'm not always going to make the right decision. What I will do is when I make a mistake, I can own up to that mistake. If I don't know the answer, hear it all the time, I'll get you an answer. Mm. Not everybody always comes back with the answer, right? But what sticks out of my mind the most are those instructors or those, officers over the years who it may have taken them a month or two, but they came back with the answer, which told me a lot. So, yeah, it's going to be some good conversations. Hopefully, thought provoking conversations. I hope nothing more than everybody be able to open up and have a conversation, or at least take away something from this conversation, and being able to take away from conversations at FDIC coming up that don't need you to speak to us. However, would love to hear, later on down the road that, hey, I at least took enough away to go back and evaluate myself and be able to make myself better. At the end of the day, it's a job. It's a job that so many people make their life. It's a career path that's like no other. But when the dust settles, what's left? Your family, some plaques on the wall, a retirement axe, and that's it. So anyway, what else do you guys think we should talk about? What are things that we can talk about that just because we're not the smartest people in the room and we can be like, wow, we didn't know, but
I don't know about you. I'm the only person in my room, so I'd like to say right now at the moment I am the smartest person in my room, but
Nice.
it may not even be true. So
I guess I can go with that right now myself too. There is a Christmas tree that anyway.
Yeah.
no, I think I want to talk about something. Dave mentioned it earlier, and he was talking about the opportunity. He had the opportunity to get into a position, and I know that like for us right now, promotions are happening. We just promoted 5 new rock stars into positions. Captain and lieutenant, 2 new battalion chiefs, so 7 total promotions. In my department, probably got a couple more coming before this list is over. And so when we talk about, mental health and we talk about struggles and challenges, I mean, I think that we got to kind of look at the seasons, right? Like those seasons of opportunities. And as leaders and as chiefs, we've got to recognize when those times may be more prevalent than others, right? I know 3 months from now, we've got coming up, we've got a reassignment list. We've got promotions taking effect. 60 to 90 days from now, there's probably going to be some folks out there that are struggling with transition. They're struggling with new crew dynamics. They're struggling with being on a 40-hour work week that they've never been on before. So I think as chiefs and as leaders in our organizations, we have to look at those opportunities kind of as seasons and kind of looking at our calendar of our department and going, when are we going to see those struggles? And we're doing this on top of the holidays, right? So some people are super excited they got promoted going into a holiday. Some people didn't. Some people are getting moved away from their crews and their teammates that they've been with for years. Some aren't. And so I think we have to look at those seasons and just kind of figure out where our people are, where our departments are. And then as leaders, what's their capacity of change right now? Is now the time that we can't help, but is now the time as a leader at a molecular level, at a small team level, to make a big change within my own team? Should I be creating new expectations? Should I be doing things like that when we've already had a huge change organizationally? So I throw that out to the group is, what are your thoughts or what do you see the seasons or the opportunities like that, when it comes to mental health and looking at that across a calendar?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Dave?
Well, I'll say just what you said. One of the pieces that I would add to that is the stages of grief. All right. So we're talking about as leaders and we're coupling this with the mental health thing. So great. I didn't even think of that, Bobby, until you just said that. So great addition, promotion season. So the people get they might get stressed because they really want it. So they're putting all their focus into this thing, and they're reading everything and they're studying everything and they're doing the extracurriculars at the station to try to stand out and separate themselves and be that guy or that girl. Right. But then the aftermath, the post thing, sometimes that shit lasts more than 3 months after we've made the selection and we've announced the selection. And, oh, by the way, you didn't get it. Us as leaders, understanding the giving people the space, but then the support of the stages of grief. And that's hard. That support piece is hard. You know why? Because, and I'm just going to say it. I don't give a shit. I mean, what are they going to do? File a fucking grievance, But some people don't get promoted because they're not the guy for the position. It just is what it is, right? We have one captain's position and 8 of you replied. Guess what? This is just math, right? So as leaders, we have to recognize our own bias on not kind of good riddance to these folks when they're going through this psychological turmoil. Like, hey, I really wanted that job. I don't understand why I didn't get it. That's something I wanted. And we can't just BS them with the okay, well, what does the textbook say? Like, I think you're doing a great job. Keep doing everything you're doing. It's just a matter of no. Just, hey, that's how I am with people, whether they like it or not. That's how I am. Like, I really wanted that position. Why didn't I get it? Well, because I'll be honest with you, you have a crew of 8 assigned to you, and I was going to promote you to have a crew of 24, and your crew of 8 is the worst crew of all the crews. So, I wasn't going to give you triple the amount when you couldn't even manage those 8. But I want to help you so that you can get to where you need to be. But we got to work on your inner ability to be a leader yourself, right? But recognizing when the right time is to have those conversations, and then being patient to give the people the time to go through those stages of grief, because that's going to be psychological. They're not going to perform at their highest. So don't sit there and start giving them letters of reprimand or MFR and what they're doing and not doing because they're not performing at their all-time best. Like, of course they're not. They're broken right now. They got passed up for a promotion and they're upset. So it's our job as a leader to whether you like the guy or not, to recognize that, hey, I need to give this person some leeway and some space, not a hall pass, but some leeway and some space. And then just, try to engage with them to help them grow better and remove your own biases. And that's tough as a leader. Like, you're like, well, yeah, of course you didn't get promoted, bro. But like, you don't know what they're dealing with. In their mind, they thought they were supposed to get promoted. That's why they put him for the job. So yeah, I agree. Like, these season things come up, and it's very difficult for us to kind of lasso that. So like, not only would you possibly move stations or battalions or crews or companies or shifts, right, when you get promoted, but what about the guy that didn't get promoted and how they're going navigating through the station with a chip on their shoulder? And whether it's wrong and it can potentially, toe the line of insubordination, it's our duty to try to recognize, like, hey, this person kind of deserves to be pissed off right now. I think we fail there.
No, absolutely. I always think of Happy Gilmore when it's like better luck next year.
Yeah.
And I feel like I fortunately don't work in a department that has the better luck next year mentality, right? Like, we do development opportunities prior to the promotional process, and people get to come in and ask questions of people at the rank above them of how they prepared and what they found of the position. And I think it's a great development opportunity that the organization offers to everybody. But there's a lot of departments that don't do that. I mean, it's literally list is posted, promotions are made, and it's better luck next year. And they don't ever hear how they could have gotten better. They don't realize what they could do to get better. It's literally the definition of insanity.
Vision of the organization is. This is what we're looking to do. So it's not like they have to, like, we're not looking for blind leaders. We're not looking for blind followers, but this is what we're looking for the progression of the organization. Let me help you see that vision. But if you're not sharing the vision with them, I mean, how do you expect them to even, understand what you're looking for,
100%.
So question for both of you. Along the same path, do either one of your departments offer a post-promotion debriefing?
I try to do it. I'm not tooting my horn like I'm fucking some expert. I try to do it because I'm so transparent. It's actually like my flaw is that I'm so transparent. But we had promoted, since I've been there, I've promoted 2 captains and an assistant chief. And I had a number of folks internally, and when I say internally, because I work for the DOD, so like, it's open to the whole Army or the whole DOD or DOW. But internally, just in my department, just at my base, I had a number of guys, for 1 or 2 positions, so I made it like, hey, I'm going to let you know what we were looking for, because I don't want to just count you out, but you were missing these 2 or 3 things. So I need you to know that, so that if you're really serious about that, at least you could try to fill those gaps moving forward as other promotion opportunities come. And, the truth is, like, we're going to have a lieutenant's promotion available in the inspection branch in 2027. And then we're going to have 2 more captains retiring between 27 and 29, another assistant chief retiring in 27. My deputy chief retires in 29. Like, if these guys just do it right, the sky's the limit. There's a lot of opportunities coming up.
Yeah, no, we're in the same boat. We have the ability to seek out the feedback, basically make an appointment, schedule a time to sit down with someone from the executive staff or the chief themselves. Our folks have always been really good about giving that feedback as well. Yeah, so I mean it's more formal in the fact that like there's a request. I mean they don't just email you the notes, but I mean you can set up a time to come in and have those conversations, which I think is important.
Right. So the thing is, I mean, cut you off, Billy. It's just so you understand, for a listener, we recognize a lot of departments don't do that. So like, sure, like I'm doing that, and I'm not saying I'm doing it right, but at least I'm doing it. I did that at trial by fire because I knew other departments weren't. And if they did, it was the same old bullshit. You just keep doing what you're doing. It doesn't matter numbers, just with this one guy who was like half a point higher than you, like get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? So like, I really believe that like that constructive criticism is extremely important, but also them understanding the vision. Like, if I'm the selecting official, I need you to know what I value and what my vision is for the organization so that you can A, help improve that, but then B, so you're on board with it. Because if you're all the way over here and I'm here, I'm trying to get in the camera here, of course you're putting in for company officer position. I'm like, well, this guy doesn't line up with where we're going. You need to know that. That's not fair to you if I don't let you know. But a lot of departments, they don't have that. They don't have anything formal, and they also don't even have any informal. It's just, if you ask, we'll be like, hey, it was a half a point difference, like that's not good enough.
Yeah, and unfortunately we get a little more than that. We're lucky.
Yeah. Dave said one thing at the very beginning of that has stuck with me since, is making sure that we give people the leeway to be pissed off. And like you said, it's not going to be for a month. It's not going to be for 2 months. It's probably going to be some level of being pissed off for, till the next promotional process. Right. And if they don't, geez.
But no, I want to jump back on something real quick that Dave was talking about the vision. I had the opportunity recently. I've had several opportunities to sit on some assessment centers as an outside person. Coming in, department brings you in from the outside to review their candidates. And I've seen it both ways, right? I've seen departments that like the fire chief came in, the training chief, a deputy chief, and like they spent like an hour and a half with us, truly sharing with us their personal vision as a chief and what it was that their organization was trying to accomplish, so we could help them select the best candidate.
That's cool.
But then I've also participated in assessment centers where, I didn't even really know what they were looking for. So I'm basing it off of what I'm looking for. But there's 3 other people on the panel with me from 3 other organizations doing the exact same thing. So, I throw that out there to the chiefs that may be listening is, if you're paying the money to bring people in to do these assessments, whether it's a company, outside people, like make sure they truly understand your brand and who you are as a department. Because if not, you're not going to get what you're looking for. Like they're going to give you their best candidate. It may not be your best candidate.
Yeah, no, all absolutely amazing points on a topic that I don't hear talked about very often, right? Well, that's where do we go from there, guys?
Well, we got 2 training officers, so
I was getting ready to say, how have we not talked about training?
Let's talk about training, right?
How do we incorporate you 2 training gurus? How do we incorporate this, what we're talking about, into?
It's easy. It starts with leadership training. That's another failed thing. And Bobby, I know you know this already, but just for the sake of the people that are listening, like there's a misconception with training. Like, you also have to train your leaders how to be leaders. You also have to train psychology and sociology when you're responsible for the development of humans. Okay, it's not just tactics and operations, and that's where we fail. It's not just pulling hose line and stretching a hose line or searching a hallway. That shit's cool, but that's easy. That's like low hanging fruit for a training officer,
and a very small part of the job,
right? And I'm not insulting people that are doing it. At least you're doing it, because there's people that ain't doing shit, but at least you're doing that. But
right.
It starts with us as the training people recognizing some of these things that we're talking about, so you can then build in-house training for your officers that are part of this selection process so that they understand these dynamics, so that they understand the stages of grief and the analytics of it. You know, hey, it typically takes 6 months to a year for somebody to really kind of get over this. You know, don't just think like having one conversation means it's over, you know, that it's all good now, you know. And then, not to cover so much, but just on the time pressing piece, it also is, I say this all the time in anything that I talk about, it's 100% not just leadership's responsibility, but the training officer or the person responsible to train and instruct their people. It's their responsibility to not only recognize, but educate themselves, accept and take mental health, or as Steph calls it, brain health, serious, and implement that into your department. And don't just do your regular checklist like, hey, annually, we're going to do suicide prevention. Like, nah, man. This stuff can be sprinkled in a way that they don't even realize you're talking about mental health shit. You know what I mean? And you're not trying to, I always call it positive manipulation, you know, because like you're not trying to like hurt people as a manipulative way, but by definition, you're manipulating them to come at it at a tactic that they don't think that they're just listening to another "don't kill yourself" story. You know what I mean? But that's our responsibility of the person that's responsible to train people, to take that serious and then educate ourselves on the ins and outs of this shit. You know, read more, learn more, listen to podcasts, understand sociology and psychology. You know.
Yeah, you hit something that's been pretty near and dear to me here recently, and something I've put a lot of emphasis on lately, and that's that training versus education piece. We are horrible in the fire service about not separating those two, right, or really only just focusing on training. And you know, and when we look at training, they're all objective based, bullet points. If this, then this. There is not a lot of room for thinking in training.
You're right.
Like we're pretty much telling you this is what you're going to do, this is how you're going to do it, and that's it. Whereas education, you know, we get broader, right? We teach more about global. We talk about theory. We talk about a lot of things, and then we expect our people or need our people to pull the information that they need out of that and apply it. And you know, I'll use this example, and it's not mental health, but you can apply it anywhere. You know, IFC just did that big white paper on crew resource management. We wanted to do something a little deeper with that, and so we kind of tooled around with the idea of bringing somebody in. I've got a friend of mine that's a retired colonel from the Marine Corps, was in a aviation wing. I wouldn't even begin to know the acronyms and letters, but he flew C-130s, and he was in charge of all the training for the C-130s, you know, at one point in the Marine Corps as a colonel. Flies for FedEx. So he came in and talked to us about crew resource management. I sent him the white paper, sent him some bullet points about who we are as a fire service. And he came in, he did like a 2-hour lecture on crew resource management and that leadership in the cockpit kind of thing. And I was tooling around asking some people, and there were some people that were like, well, that just didn't make any sense to me. Like, like, he's a pilot. He doesn't get anything that we're talking about. And I'm like, no, like, I think you missed the point. Like you needed to pull stuff out of his educational session. Like he was not talking to us as firefighters. He was talking to us as human beings. And like, it's our responsibility to get educated. And he said something. He said, yeah, he's like, you know, these domestic pilots, they'll fly a couple hours, then they'll take a couple hour break in a break room, you know, and then their plane will be loaded, and then they'll fly another domestic flight for a couple hours. And so like, I looked at the guys and I was like, well, what does that sound like? Oh, like a night on the medic unit. Yeah. Right. Like, you know, you're up for a couple hours, you're at the hospital for a couple hours, you're back at the station. Like, it's like these guys were having to go through these checklists, prepare, take care of a patient, do all of these things, have their minds right. And it was just that up and down. And I'm like, that's our world. I'm like, that's education, right? They gave you something completely non-fire department related and needed to pull that out. And we're horrible at it. We're so bad at it because we focus so much on training where we just give them everything. We hand them a check sheet and say, come back when you can do all these boxes. And there's no education there. So that's a whole nother podcast, a whole nother session. That's like 3 nights at FDIC, Dave and I, you know, talking about what we love. But I think it goes all the way into that mental health piece, right? Like if we're only training them to look for signs, and we're only training them to call an EAP number, and we're only training them to do these things, and we're not truly educating them on why we feel this way, why people grieve the way they do. Why is Billy frustrated because he didn't get promoted? Oh, I can tell you why. That's pretty simple. But we don't talk about the deeper part of that and that education piece to help people understand it. I think that's where we're missing
You're right.
the mark in some of that.
Yeah, that's definitely it's definitely an easily a 3-night introductory 101 course. I would definitely
There's a
agree.
lot to unpack there, but he's not wrong.
No, my mind literally was just like blown. All right, guys, we've been recording for about 40 minutes. Again, about 45 minutes. We'll try to wrap this thing up. So, Dave, what are your parting thoughts after everything that we've just talked about for the last 40 minutes?
I just again, I'd be remiss not to say I appreciate it. I gotta just say this: it's such a cliche fugazi thing when people are like, "Thank you," but I sincerely listen, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate just the opportunity. I appreciate both of you. Bobby, I've been following you for a minute, and when we connected at FDIC, it was just instantaneous. So I do. This means a lot to just have the opportunity. So thank you. Now, I'll just say we're going to talk more in depth about some of this mental health stuff, obviously, out at FDIC. So real quick, for the listener, if you didn't register for FDIC, do that. I say it every opportunity, especially right now because it's still early bird. So don't be an idiot, take advantage, get out there. It's just the best thing ever. And we'll be out there and we're going to be on that stage and we're going to talk about some stuff. And it's going to be a good time. I have no doubt. But we're not just in the business of tactics and being firefighters. We never were. It's not like people think generationally, no, we're just finally had enough of us not talking about it and realizing that dudes are dying of stomach cancer because they're pushing the shit down to not talk about stuff, or understanding how to tolerate it or navigate it, that they die 5 years after they're off the job. And I don't want that shit, right? I want to be, I dedicated all this time to this thing. I want to be able to enjoy some of my time afterward, right? So we have to continue to just keep getting better. And I know that sounds it's easier said than done, but it's just a fact. We'll never know enough, but we need to at least accept that and then recognize that some of the things we covered, you have to implement mental health, brain health training in your organization. And you have to take it serious. You have to believe it's real and you have to take it serious. You have to believe in that just as much as you believe in tactics. Okay. And then like Bobby said about, knowing the seasons, promotion season is a time where you're certainly going to deal with psychological difficulties. The same reaction, abrasive reaction as if somebody was having a drinking problem or going through a divorce or having financial hardships. They're going to have that same reaction if they don't get that promotion because your ego's in check, right? So that kind of sucks, especially as a man, that sucks, right? But just recognize those things, knowing how to build a pattern to educate yourself as a leader, a person responsible for others, and trying, which is the most difficult, to remove your biases and be there for people. And the last thing I'll say, and we're going to talk more about this in April, men have feelings too. I text you that, Billy. I don't want to sound like a dork or corny or soft, but Chris Rock's got that thing. I don't know if you guys have ever watched it, where it's men are loved on the condition of. And I'm not starting not generational, a sex war or nothing like that. It's just a fact. We do have feelings too, and we have created it ourselves. We're a victim of our own creation, where we made it that men don't have feelings, and we do, and it's okay to have feelings, and it's more important that you talk to people about your feelings, because I'm telling you, there are some like-minded people that even if they can't completely empathize, and it's not sympathy out of pity, they can sympathize because dudes go through a lot of turmoil, and we're wired to just constantly provide. And when we feel like we're not providing, we lose our purpose, and then we lose ourselves. And I think that as we go into the holiday season, get good with yourself and be happy with yourself, and then be appreciative of everything that's around you, and my hope is that you'll kind of go into a new year with a better perspective.
Agreed. Bobby.
I'm going to keep it short and sweet because I can't really follow that. But I will say this, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in April because it's something that I certainly want to focus a little more on. Is that for a fear of sounding like this, like weird optimist, I firmly believe, and I say this quite frequently, is there's no such thing as a bad day. There's just bad moments within a day. And if you truly recognize that someone's having a bad day and thing after thing, moment after moment, everything is just bad, like they probably need help, yourself included, right? Like, and so I think that it's finding some level of optimism through the day, some win, taking the small wins. I think we're really bad in the fire service about praise. Little teaser for an article coming out in January. But we're really you got a selfish plug every once in a while, but it's our podcast. So but I think we're really bad about praise, right? And I think we do a really really poor job about just saying that's part of the job or that's your bare minimum. But you know what? Like every once in a while, it's still okay to pat a guy or gal on the back. Probably more so verbally than physically in today's workforce,
Sure.
but and say, hey, like, good job. Like, I see you working, right? I see you working. I had a guy the other day, make a social media post about, his weight loss journey. And like, I commented, I was like, man, I see you grinding. And like, it for whatever reason, like it lit him up. Like he just couldn't believe that I like commented on his Facebook post about just seeing him grind. And I think that we're really bad about just telling people good job. And I think if we do that and we focus, especially as leaders, on the little praises along the way, we won't see as many implosions at the end for our people. But that's my 2 cents.
I I only want to see one thing from both of you guys before April. Remove the words weird. Remove the words Dave, the risk of sounding corny out of your vocabulary, because absolutely everything that you guys have talked about today, it's real life. It's real life outside of the job. Take it away from completely. Take the job away from it. It's going to be important. It's the conversations that we're going to have. I'm excited. I don't usually show excitement very much. I've been told to work on that to show a little more excitement.
You could have at least showed some excitement in saying that.
Yeah, sorry. I'm either over the top or I'm the bottom, but no, I think it's important to take that out of people's vocabulary, because again, everything that you guys just said and everything that we've talked about for the last 48 minutes now, again, is real life, and it's going to be very important going forward, because again, that older generation that's retiring out, that younger generation that is coming along, they learn differently, they react differently, they need to be treated differently, and you need to get it out of your head. Well, this is how I was trained and this is how I was doing it. This is how it's going to be. Not anymore. If you want to truly be successful, if you want to truly be a leader and you want to affect positive change within your departments, you're going to have to change. The word change in the fire service. I won't even go down that road. Gents, I appreciate it more than you know. Dave, I appreciate you more than you know. I know Bobby does as well. Keep doing the good work. Keep doing what you're doing. The writing, I wanted to hit on that really quickly. Bobby, you mentioned it. Bobby does a ton of amazing stuff, as do you, Dave. Yes, my wife taught me that it's okay to use the words mental health. My wife told me, hey, why don't you start writing? And I was like, I can't even spell my name most days. That has been a huge thing for me. The amount of stuff that I write that never makes it out of there, that stays, in the confines of my phone or my iPad. It is therapeutic. There's a particular, article that I've been working on for the better part of a year now, and I can't get past. Not too proud to admit it, I can't get past one section that dealt with an LODD of somebody I went to recruit school with, and I happen to be one of the first people on scene. I found myself adding like way too many chapters and way too many descriptive words because I didn't want to get to that chapter of what happened from the call through the station and then the months after. I'm going to get there. I'm having to do it at my own pace now. But writing is very therapeutic. Mm-hmm. And that's coming from someone who's not a writer. That's someone who can read an article and go, you know what, that's a great article. I wished I could write like that, but again, it goes back to me being imperfect and to know that I'm not a writer. But gents, again, I appreciate you both. I'm looking forward to April. I know that we'll talk, but happy holidays to all of our listeners out there. Good luck with Army this weekend. I don't think they're going to need it. I think they're going to do all right. I hope you guys have great holidays. Hold those close. Take care of your people. And as Bobby said, praise your people, see your people, let them know that you see them. It could be as simple as, hey, everybody, I see you, great work, good job, and walk away. Gents, appreciate you, and we will see you next time. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
See you, everybody.